Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll get started with this is the introduction to ProposalWorks. My name is Joe Daley. I'm the Industrial Control Product Manager here at Gerrie Electric. I've been with Gerrie Electric for approximately 20 years. So just giving a little bit of my background. My expertise is in the is my expertise is in the industrial control product line at with Rockwell Automation. So that's everything from contactors to motor starters, push buttons, relays, basically all the stuff that provides power to the PLCs and the various drives and the other automation equipment that Rockwell is available. So just a brief intro into what ProposalWorks is. It is a free configuration software package. So it'll help you with building bills of material. Also helps you with organizing those bills of material, as well as being able to produce Word documents, Excel documents, so that can be manipulated in other forms. So you can send those to your end customers, and also help with some of your procurement as well. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I can show you a bit about this software. So basically, what you want to do first is you need to you want to install ProposalWorks. So where it can be found and how you can install the software, you just go to any web browser. And you just want to go to the Allen Bradley homepage. So for that, it's www.ab.com. So once you're on the Allen Bradley website, you'll find it under Tools, and then under Tools, then under Selection, and ProposalWorks Proposal Builder. So once you click on there, it'll take you to the ProposalWorks or the Product Selection and Configuration page. And here you can actually scroll down, and it'll give you like descriptions of what some of the tools are and the other various tools that are available. But when you get down to this point, you'll get to the download toolbox, and this will install the install exe file for you. It is a fairly large download. You'll want to ensure you have about 2.5 gigabytes worth of space on your hard drive for a proper install of the software. So it does consume a bit of space. And when you do run the installer, there is going to be a splash screen that's going to ask you what's your country of origin. I would highly recommend that you would select Canada for that during that installation process. That way it just keeps everything. It keeps everything accurate for the Canadian markets. Okay. So once you have it installed, you'll notice it actually installs more than one tool. It installs several tools. ProposalWorks Proposal Builder, which is the one we're going to talk about today, but there are other various tools as well. Like for instance, if you're configuring PLC systems, automation networks, integrated architecture builder is excellent for that. There's also Safety Automation Builder. You might be familiar with a software package called Sistema, which it basically just helps configure a safety system so that it gets to a specific performance level that your machine or application might require. There's also user-defined material. So if you have your own products you want to configure that can be interacting with ProposalWorks, that can be done there. And then there's MCS Star when you're building complex bus bar type starter systems. So there's a number of tools on there. But before we actually get into ProposalWorks, I want to draw your attention to the current program updater. I'm just going to open that right now. So this installs automatically with the with ProposalWorks and the product selection toolbox. This more or less keeps your software up to date. It runs basically as a service in your on your desktop or on your laptop, I should say, and it basically will keep your ProposalWorks software up to date. So anytime there's new products available or products that become obsolete, it keeps your your proposal works current and up to date. There's usually major updates on the first Friday of every month, so you'll probably get notifications from the current program updated to say, hey, there's updates available. I'd always recommend that you accept those updates, and keeps so that way it keeps your proposal works completely up to date. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close that. So with that, we're going to go directly into the proposal works software. So there's a couple ways you can do it. You can get it through a shortcut on your desktop, or you can find it in the start menu, of course. So once you do start the software up, it always comes up with this splash screen. Would you like to establish to the internet? If you have an internet connection, then by all means say yes. If not, I would say click no. Otherwise, it'll be looking for that internet connection. So I'm going to go ahead and click yes to this. Okay, so this is basically what Proposal Works looks like when you first open it. So there's a couple different screens, few icons up here. So let me kind of explain a bit about what each of these fields are. So here this side of your screen on your left-hand side, this is basically your outline and your products and also your product library. So as you're building proposal, as you're adding documents, they will show up here under the proposal outline. My products, as I mentioned, there is a tool called user-defined products. So as you build products, they will show up here in the tab called My Products. And then there's also the product library itself. So you have, so this is what this side of the screen is. On the left side of this, on the right-hand side of the screen, this is what I like to call the active document page. So this will be the active document that you're working with in ProposalWorks. Typically, it is what we call the equipment list. So as you build and configure products, they will start to appear here on this page. Now on the top here, we have a number of different icons. So we have, first one's the home button. The home button will always take you back to this main screen right here. So if you're ever lost, don't know where you are, you want to get back to where you started from, the home button is what you would press. File is the same as any other Windows type application. It'll save all of your previous works that you've done. You'll see your previous documents there. Of course, save as. So you can search different documents, and you can do different searches and stuff for different filters. And you can also do import export. I'll explain how that works in a bit. You can also do a quick print and also close out of ProposalWorks. User is basically how you can have the ProposalWorks environment behave. I'll show a couple of what these things do later on. So this kind of shows you how to behave. Now the next tab is like your own personal information. There are certain documents that can have auto populates, autofills. So that's what this can be useful for. So you can have your own information in there. And then of course there's your export options. It just shows you basically how you want ProposalWorks to behave when doing an export. So we'll just keep it at that. And then customers, you can keep a database of your contacts can be kept in here. That is optional. Also, if you're creating a proposal or a project, this is the project file. The project icon more or less can help organize some of this information. So you can give your project name, your bid due dates, who the preparer is. That's more likely probably yourself, and then shipping information, sold by. And then I'll show you what these are: statistics and availability. Statistics and availability shows what the different products you've configured, and it'll show you the number of products you've configured that are what we call preferred availability, and I'll explain about that as I move forward. And same with the availability. So if there's time, I'll come back and I can show you what those look like. Now under documents, there are a number of documents that will appear when you create products. So when you configure products, you're going to get various different types of documents, everything from tech documents. Sometimes you might see installation instructions. spare parts. And also everyone will contain what's called a product details and certification. So I'll show you what that looks like in a bit as we start to, as we go through a few configuration examples. So it's like a basic cut sheet for everything that's produced. Tools, again, these are just shortcuts to the different tools. Kind of went through what some of these other tools are. There's also a few other configuration tools, including Motion Analyzer. So these are all different links to the various different tools. And lastly, we have help. The help is quite informative. It has a lot of how-tos in here. There's a number of videos, plus a whole arrangement of documents. Also, if you ever have time, if you want to, you can always work through the Proposal Works lab that's available. So that way you can learn some of the more intricacies about Proposal Works. And if you ever get stuck on something, or something doesn't seem right, or something's not working properly, there is the link to email the support at Rockwell Automation, and they do respond usually within about 48 hours. So moving along here, there's also some other icons. This of course is just a quick save button, so you just simply click that to save your proposal. If you're working on an old proposal, you're not sure if products are still available. So for instance, if you created a proposal or created a Proposal Works document, maybe let's say 3 years ago, but you're not 100% sure if the products are still 100% available, you can always hit the refresh on this, and that will refresh anything and advise you if any products are now no longer available, obsolete. There's also your quick export. There's also your quick export and a quick print. Applying discounts, I'll probably leave that for now, because that would to do with specific pricing files. So as I said, we want to go back to where we started from. So as I said, let's hit home. Let's go back here. Now, just before we start with a few configuration examples, I also want to show you a few other things that's in the product library. So as you can see, we have the whole gambit of Rockwell Automation products, but also want to draw your attention that there are a number of Encompass partner products as well. So it's not just Rockwell Automation products. It's all the various different Encompass partners that Rockwell that Rockwell has partnered with. For instance, we got ProSoft Technologies. So if you're looking for different communication cards, ProSoft's got a fair number of products in here. We've got Panduit as well for different like wiring duct and stuff like that. So that can all be configured here as well. So there's a number of various different Encompass partners that are available with Proposal Works. So let's get right into it. Let's do a couple of configuration examples. So first thing I want to do is and of course you're probably asking, well, how do I find the products? Where do I even begin? How can I even start beginning? Well, you can start by actually finding what you're looking for, trying to drill through the various different menus and submenus. But other ways you can search is using you can do a keyword search. So for instance, let's say, for example, we're looking for a 30mm 3-position selector switch. So let's put that in here. Let's just say 30mm selector switch. And as you can see, I'll expand this over so you can see the gamut of stuff. So there's different types. So it'll tell you right here, okay, 30mm. So that's obviously 800T, 800H. It'll tell you, okay, if you want an EMA 4X style, or if you're just okay with the metal like the 413 style, that'll all be listed here. So we're looking for a 3-position selector switch, probably non-illuminated, and we'll just go with the 800T. And let's just try this one because it's the knob wing lever. There's also a cylindrical lock, or you can get it illuminated. But let's just go with this one. And to simply get into the configuration, you simply just double click. And it's a simple matter of just answering the questions for the selector switch. So first of all, you're going to ask, is it hazardous location? So in this case, let's say no, probably don't need it. Hazardous location, same definition as explosion proof or or you're looking for a button that needs to be put in a hazardous type environment. So we'll say no to that just for that. Finger safeguards. Let's say no finger safeguards. Now you'll notice here, preferred availability options are in blue. When they say preferred availability, these are products that you'll probably, hopefully, find either on the shelf or like on the shelf at Gerrie or on the shelf at Rockwell, or very readily available. That's what the products are highlighted in blue. So, if at all possible, if you're trying to find items that are hopefully to be in stock, then you want to try and make sure when selecting, you want to select the ones highlighted in blue. The ones that are not highlighted in blue could still be stock items. It's not what Rockwell has deemed preferred availability. There's also others highlighted in purple, and that would indicate that it's modified. So it actually would have to go to a special group to be custom made. So there's a few different options for that. So we'll say no guards for this, because the finger safe guards on an 800T button is simply puts a plastic cover over the terminals. And knob type, let's just say it's the standard knob. There's a bunch of different ones here. And the knob insert, so there's different inserts for the selector switches. Let's just go with white for now. Also, another thing to consider, selections nearest to the top will also be almost readily available. And then what's the operator function? Is it maintain, spring return? Let's just say this one, let's just go maintain, keep things easy. So we're looking for a simple handoff auto type selector switch. So next, when it comes to selecting an 800T selector switch, you have to select what's called a target table. So we'll go ahead and click on this, and let's click on this question mark, CAM and contact blocks. So for those of you who've tried to configure a selector switch from the old catalog, you'll notice that there's a large tic-tac-toe field, but you're going to have to try and determine which specific one you're looking for. This will hopefully help make that whole selection process a whole lot easier, because now you simply click and access to where you want a contact closure. So as you can see, for a typical non-illuminated selector switch, you can have up to 8 different contacts. Each row represents a specific contact. So for instance, if you're looking for a handoff auto, that usually is a single contact closure on the left-hand side and a single contact closure when the switch is in the right-hand position and off in the center. So now we've got that configured. We have to look at the different contact blocks that are available. So the standard contact blocks are the most common, but of course there are others: Pentough, Logic Read, MacDuty. Those have different functionalities. So we'll just stick with standard for now. And then all of a sudden, you're now presented with all the various different solutions that can achieve this simple handoff auto. Again, rule of thumb: always select the one at the very top to get the most readily available selector switch. So we're going to select that. So it's going to be code A. And then when we're happy with this, we'll simply hit OK. And there we go. We now have our fully completed 800T 3-position selector switch. So also down here, there's also numerous accessories. So if you're looking for, let's say, legend plates and other accessories, they could all be found here, including enclosures and everything else. But once we're happy with this, we'll simply hit accept. And there we go. So we've configured our first product. So here's our part number, a description, what type of availability is. It'll also tell you what the life cycle of the product is. So if it's active, it means it's a current product. Life cycle meaning could be if it's active, or if it's end of life or discontinued. It will show up here. You can also add specific notes for that switch. So if you want to identify what the selector switch is for, you can add a quick note to it. And in this bubble here is simply the quantity. So you can change the quantity by simply moving up, moving down, or you can type a number in there. We'll just keep it at 1 for. And then, of course, it'll show the factory list price as well on here. And it'll always keep a running total as well. Yeah. Okay, and also as you're configuring products, you'll see what percentage of the BOM is what they considered preferred availability. Okay, so I want to do another example. Like for instance, just say you're looking for instance, a combination starter, like a 112, or with a starter in a box with a disconnect. So you're looking for something like that. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So I'm going to look for combination. So there's a lot of different options here for combination starters. So maybe we might need to maybe filter this down even a little more. So why don't we say IEC? Whoops. Why don't we say combination starter IEC? There we go. So it's an IEC starter. And so the most common one would be this guy right here, the 112 starter. So let's just go through that one as an example. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on that. And once again, it's just a matter of answering the questions. And gives you some of the notes of what about lead time. So you want to try and find something that you can get relatively quickly. I'll explain what this is in a minute about factory and user assembled. So first of all, we can say supply voltage. So it's just a matter of answering the questions. And also, as I'm configuring this, you can watch this part number. It'll start to populate as we make the selections. So for instance, okay, so it's a 600 volt. Let's say the control voltage, it's 120 volt. And then you can say horsepower. Let's see, it's probably maybe, let's say a 7.5 horsepower. And then what type of disconnect do you want? Fusible, non-fusible? Well, let's say fusible. Again, these are just arbitrary examples I'm just thinking of right now. And then for the contactor size, there's various different contactor sizes. But for simplicity, we'll keep it at 9 amps because as you change this horsepower, for instance, we go 20, for instance, it'll change the smallest available contactor size. So that way, so for a 20 horsepower, the smallest contactor you can use is a 30 amp. So we'll keep that for demonstration. And then what type of enclosure? Is it general purpose? Is it 3, 4, 12? Well, let's keep it general purpose. And then actually you'll need some kind of an overload. So you can say, well, maybe I'll install an overload later, or I've got a different overload, or I've got one on my shelf. So you don't necessarily have to have one, but most times you probably need to have an overload installed. And then you simply select the current you need. So for 20 horsepower, probably need this guy here. And then from here, you can go factory installed modifications. Because right now I do have a full starter that I can accept, but I got no pilot lights, I got no buttons, I got no selector switches. I probably want to add a few of those. So let's go ahead and let's add a handoff auto selector switch. We want some kind of an indicating light. And just as you note, as soon as I hit that, you notice the green pilot light grayed out because I'm only allowed one option for this. And then let's say we'll probably want a control circuit transformer. And an external reset, so we don't have to open the panel door to reset the overload should an overload take place. And then let's say we put an auxiliary contact, maybe a top mount. So there we go. We now have our completed part number. And then we can go ahead and accept that. And there it is. So now this one shows standard availability. And you notice this has now changed as well from 100% to 50%. So, and then as I was mentioning, the documents, you can see documents will start to populate in here. So here's some of the documents that are available once you have your parts assembled. As I said, each and every one will have this thing called product details and certifications. So I'll double click on that. It'll often appear in in your web browser, and you can just simply copy and paste this into a document if you need to, and it'll just basically give you a real basic cut sheet of what was selected. So that's one example. Also, let's say with the selector switch, it actually gives you some pretty cool position diagrams. There's also a repair parts list. So here's all your repair parts that are available for the different 800T 800T operators. as well as the product details and certifications for that particular selector switch. So it gives you all your UL, CSA, and various other listings as well for this selector switch. And the different products will have different certifications based on what the product group has entered into Proposal Works. So what we'll do, we'll go back home, so we know where we started from. So I've gone through a couple different product examples. Now, for instance, now I was going to mention this thing called factory or user assembled. I want to go through that quickly, just so you can see what that does. So one of the things you can do if deliveries are long on something, or you're not or you want to know what parts make up a particular item, you can do this factory or user assembled, and so you can actually change this when you just click on it. You can change it from user or factory. So we'll go ahead and turn this one into a user assembled, and then what it'll do when I hit accept, it will break this selector switch up into the parts that it makes up of. So this is basically what makes up the switch. So we've got basically the switch body and the contact block. So if you're ever wondering so if you do have like a big long catalog string for an 800T or most any products, and you want to know what parts make it up, you can simply go into the product, change the settings from factory assembled to user assembled, and it'll all break it all down for you. Same true for this starter that we configured. So we change that to user assembled, and some of the things might not be available as a user assembled. Sometimes that does happen, and if that's the case, it might not let you do it. Yeah. So for this, we probably have to change this. So we'll just change that to that for now. I will hit accept. It might take a second or two while it processes the whole thing. There we go. And there's all the products that make up that particular starter. So yeah, it's you see there's quite a few pieces that make up that starter. So let's go ahead and change that back to a factory assembled. We'll keep that as a user assembled. Okay. So there's a couple of different configuration examples. So a keyword filter is one way. If you should happen to know a part of the part number, but not the whole part number, you can always enter a part of it. For instance, if you're looking for, let's say, an 800, we've already gone 800T, but let's say it's an IEC, a 22 mil button. So we could say, we all know they start with 800F, or some of us will know, and it'll basically show you all the various different 800F style push buttons that are available. So we could say like the momentary push button non-illuminated. So we can go ahead and maybe let's configure one of these as an example. So again, just a matter of answering the questions. So is it? So we'll say it's round plastic. And we'll go with operator, say it's flush, color cap, choose the different colors. It's all different styles of different colors. So let's say we'll go green with this one. Let's just turn it into a start button. And legend or text, you can actually have a text on it. So maybe we'll put start, maybe we'll put the word start on it. And then for what's called back of the panel, now because we need to select contact blocks, we need to put contact blocks. But first thing they want to know part numbers. Is it going to be separate, composite? Now composite is just one big long catalog string. The way we stock 800F buttons is a separate component. So I'm going to choose separate for this. So we're going to say back of panel components. So we're going to hit this question mark. So we get taken to another screen, and it's just now a matter of answering the other question. So what style of mounting? Is it going to be a plastic latch? I would always recommend mating the same material. So if it's plastic should be on plastic, metal should be on metal. So we'll go with the plastic latch. Termination style, screw, contact block, or spring type. We I would say we usually stock the screw, so we'll go with the screw type. And then the contact block type, as you can see, there's a number of different ones. Let's just stick with standard. And then the actual contacts themselves. So you're more or less given your various options. So you're really only limited to normally open and normally closed. So let's just say it's 1. So you'd actually have to physically put a number in these particular boxes. So 1 normally open, and we'll say 1 normally closed, just for those, just so we can see that. So once we're happy with what we've selected, we'll hit accept. And once we're happy with this, we can hit accept again. And there we go. Those are the parts that make up that particular push button. And this is how it would typically be stocked at within Gerrie. So there's a push button example. So now what I want to show you as well, now if just say you have your own part, for instance, that you want to add to the bill of material, it can be done. And how that can be done is right here in the add catalog number. So let's just call it something, I want to call it my widget, just to say that it's a product that I have. We'll hit enter. Once you do, you'll get this splash screen saying it's like, okay, Rockwell obviously couldn't find, well, ProposalWorks couldn't find this in its product database. So wondering, okay, so what exactly is it? So you can say, but this is a product that this is your particular product. This is something you want to add to the bill of material. So you can simply add it. You can give it a description. And my part, learn how to type here. And availability, can say if it's available or not. You can say it's stock. Quantity, give it a list. You can give it a list price if you want to even. That's pretty expensive. And once we're happy with that, we can simply hit OK. And now this is a part of the bill of material. So that's, and you can also add your own notes to it or anything like that. Or even if you happen to know the part number that you're looking for and just happen to have it right in front of you, you can also add it to the equipment list. And you can simply say, for instance, if you knew that you were looking for a green flash push button with a 1 normally open, 1 normally closed, this is one way you can do it. Simply add the part number, hit enter, and it'll appear right here as well. So there's another option as well. Now, also, if someone was to give you a document with a bunch of part numbers, you can also copy and paste those directly into the ProposalWorks environment. For instance, let me create a Word document, and I'm going to put a bunch of part numbers on here. Right, I'm going to say. I'm creating a bunch of different part numbers. And let's just say, let's just say I've got a few of those. So just say someone gives you this small little list. So you can simply copy it, and then you can paste it directly into ProposalWorks. Now this might take a minute or two. There we go. So now we got those 3. So those 3 part numbers that I've created here in this Word document are now here in the equipment list. So those are a few more examples there. So what I want to do, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more parts to this. Like for instance, our famous contactor, because I want to show you something that can really help with a bill of material organization. Within ProposalWorks. So I'm going to add a few more overload with that. And it doesn't matter if it's upper or lowercase as well when you're typing in part numbers. So I've added a few more part numbers, and as you can see, over time, you can start developing a rather lengthy bill of material. And when you're searching through up and down the bill of material, it can start to get pretty messy. And then you're trying to figure out, well, where am I? And you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Well, one of the things that can help with this, and that's actually a feature within ProposalWorks, I'll demonstrate to you right now. as I said, there's this thing called user, and user will basically show you how, will basically determine how proposal works can behave. And this checkbox right here, use groups as containers. By default, this is not selected. But when you first install ProposalWorks, I would suggest you go in and check this box because it's this I find to be extremely useful. So I'll go back and hit home, and then as you see, there's a couple of icons up here. And what we can do, we can insert group headers. So what we can do, we can insert a group. So I'm gonna but you notice that my cursor is down here somewhere, so it's always adding to the bottom. So we can change where we can add items by simply clicking on it, and you'll see this red line appear. So when you see that red line, that's where the next product or the next header is going to appear. So we can simply hit Insert Group. So now we've got a group header, and we can give it a meaningful name. Line 1. Zone 2 maybe, and then what we can do, we can simply start dragging and dropping the products we configured into these groups. So let's say let's say those two buttons are in there. Let's say that's one group, and then what we can do, we can collapse all that. So those 3 products are now part of that container, and then we can add another header. Let's say right here. All that. Call it main control panel maybe, and then maybe that's where you want to add. And then it's just the same thing, just drag and drop. And let's say we just do that. We'll add the contactor 2 in the overload, and then there we can just drop all that. So now we've taken a rather very busy. We've taken a rather busy bill of material, and we've kind of made it something a little more manageable. And so it's where you can find your products a little easier. So just different ways of help to organize your bill of material and try and. So when you're working through very large bills of material, you can search through them and find the different products that you need for the different areas. So those are those different ones as well. Also, I'll go back to project. You'll see that statistics. So to tell you like what unique parts that have preferred availability, give you some little ideas of what you've selected, and also, oh, that's not working right now. Okay, but the statistics will show you some of the stuff that you've created. Okay. So we'll go home now. And then what I want to do, I want to kind of go through now exporting. So what I want to do is go to like this thing here called generate documents. So we're going to do a couple of different exports. We're going to do an export into Word, and we're going to do an export into Excel. So we're going to hit this. So this will take it to the screen here. So you can actually do a lot of different importing options. So you can import from a lot of different Rockwell tools directly into ProposalWorks, but we're just going to focus on exporting right now. So right now we're going to go to an Excel. So we're going to export this to an Excel. So when you press Excel, you'll see a whole bunch of different options here that are checked off by default. So what we can do, we can simply unselect and select what we need. So the item ID, which I did not explain what that was, is basically this item right here, this little light kind of light out blue number. So for every as it's created, it'll create what's called an item ID. That may or may not be important. So let's not bother adding that. So let's unselect that. We'll keep the catalog number, description, quantity, maybe the notes. Perhaps we want the delivery, but we probably don't need any of this other stuff. So let's. Yeah, well, yeah, we want to keep those group headings because we added those group headings, and then we'll keep the product groupings, and let's just not worry about that right now. And once we're happy with what we see, oh, actually, before we go any further, there's some other as well that could be very, very helpful. For instance, country of origin, I know happens to be a big one. So in some cases, you might need that. So let's just select that just to demonstrate what that can do. And then once we're satisfied, we'll hit generate. And then an Excel document will be created. And so there we go. We got our part number, we got the description, which can be lengthy in some cases, the quantity, notes, delivery program, and also the country of origin for what those different products are. So you can actually see where a lot of these different products are actually made and created. So there's so that's a simple export into Excel. But you notice quantities over here. Let's face it, you probably want it like at this level here. Well, you can edit the Excel document. That's one way, or another way, when you do that same export. So we'll go back to generate documents, go back to Excel. You can change how it appears just by moving these items up and down. And to do that, you'd simply highlight the item. For instance, it's quantity we want to move, and then we got the arrows, so we can move it up. So now quantity will show up before catalog number, description, notes, all that good stuff. So once we're satisfied with that, we can hit generate. And it will create the document. So there we go. So now quantity is where you want it to be. And then you can just reformat the different lines. So there we go. And so you can format it, center, whatever you need to do to make your Excel document look appropriate. So next one I want to do is a Word document. Now, I remember there's a number of documents that get produced as you build different products. They can be added to your Word document. There's ways to do that. So there's ways to do that, and the best way to do it is here. As you notice, proposal outlines already is here. So, and you'll notice there's different ones with a magnifying glass. Others have this little yellow paper. Anything with a little yellow paper can be dragged and dropped into what's called your proposal outline. So for instance, we could say, so what we're going to do, we're going to drag and drop a few of these just so you can see what a Word document would look like. So let's do assembly details on that. How about the product details and certifications on this guy? How about, let's go down to the starter, because we want the description on that. Oh, there's a picture. Maybe we can put a picture in there as well. And then maybe just a few more. I'll just do a couple of examples. Maybe the pilot light, and perhaps as you can see, there's some drawings available as well. So we'll put that on there. So we'll say, just say we want all this information on our, we want all this information basically available in our Word document. So now what we're going to do, we're going to hit generate documents. We're going to press Word. And then you're going to see that same, the same selections. And here's where all the different proposal items that are going to appear. So we can hit generate. This might take a minute or two. And here we go. So this is that Word document. So there's our bill of material. And here's, of course, it would probably take a little bit of formatting, but here's all the documents that we selected. So the assembly details for that selector switch. There's the product details and certifications for that selector switch. There's the product details and certifications for that starter, a photo of that starter, a representative photo of that starter, and also other product details and certifications of the other products that we had selected. So that all gets included into the Word document. And then, of course, you can add more, add whatever you need to it. It is a working Word document, so you can it can be used for whatever you need it to be used for. And then, of course, when it's all done, save, you can send it off to whoever needs to review it, and it'll hopefully help produce a nice organized document for you. Okay, so that's some of the. So again, this is just the basic introduction to Proposal Works and some of the things it can do. I guess what I'd like to do now, I'd like to open it up for questions at this point, and see if does anybody have any questions at this moment? Okay, so there's one other thing I would like to show you guys as well, and in Proposal Works, especially there's an often sometimes you don't need when you're looking for a product, but you don't even know where to start. There are these things called wizards. There is a few wizards in Proposal Works, and to find them, you simply go to the keyword search and type in the word wizards. And there's a few wizards available to you. The one I like the most is this one, the Drive Selection Wizard. So I'll just double click on that, because sometimes when you're looking for, like, I know I need a drive, but where do I start? There's so many different families, so many different models. So you can always click here to see all the different ones. So as you can see, there's a lot of different models, everything from lower end component class all the way basically to your higher end integrated class, even drive logics and various other types of drives. So it's like, where do you begin? Okay, so it's just a matter of now you can start answering some of these questions down below here. So what voltage class is it? Well, is it single phase 390? Well, for instance, let's just say it's 600 volt three phase. Power rating, let's say it's 15 horsepower. Again, I'm just coming up with arbitrary examples here. Enclosure style, well, I'm going to mount it in my own panel. So say it's open, EMC filtering. Let's just say it's not required. And even when you make just those few selections, once you click back here, you'll see that your selection starts to get narrower. And so you got some like a PowerFlex, the different PowerFlex ones here. And then you can say, is it load type? Let's just say it's heavy duty. Dynamic brake, let's say, just say you want a brake transistor. Let's say an external brake resistor is included. And, every so often keep checking back here, you see what your selections are. Control positioning, let's just say it's speed you're looking for. Actually, some of them have more than one. You can do speed, torque. And then as you can see, as you make those selections, now all of a sudden the various types of drives that'll work for this application starts to narrow down. So once we're happy with what we see, probably a PowerFlex 70 in this case, we can select that, and then we can hit accept, and it'll take you to the PowerFlex 70 configuration screen. Then it's just a matter of filling in the rest of the blanks, because some of it will already be filled in for you. So some of it will already be filled in for you. So we said 15 horsepower, so we'll say 17 amps, that one. And then, then you can say, and then you probably want a him in there. And then once we're happy with that, we can hit accept. There you go. So instead of flipping through pages and pages and pages of catalogs and websites trying to find the right product, this was able to do it just by answering a few simple questions. Okay, so this basically was what is what I had what I wanted to demonstrate to everybody today, just the basics of Proposal Works. So does anybody have any questions? There's one in the chat. This time? Oh, the questions asked, how do you know if the pricing is accurate? Can you manually adjust the pricing? What this does, this shows the factory. It's Rockwell's factory list pricing is what's here in Proposal Works. It stays up to date so long as you run the current updater. You just want to make sure you're constantly running the current updater, and keep that way. It'll keep the factory list pricing up to date. If you do want specific pricing, I'd always recommend that you contact your local Gerrie Electric branch, and they'll give you accurate pricing for your account. Are there any other questions? Okay, so this pretty much concludes our webinar. So I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time out of your busy days to be here today, and wish you a very happy and the rest of the successful day today, and stay safe. Okay. Thank you, everybody.